Hi YouTube, Matt here with a new model review for 2023. Got a few of these coming out in the next, few months. Got a few models being released which I have actually ordered. This one, of course, is the long-awaited, ordered in 2021 January. This is the LNER P2. This one is R3983, the Prince of Wales, which is era 11, current era as it were, because this one is still being built up in Doncaster by the A1 Trust, who also built Tornado. So this is an all new tooling. So forget what we had before, which was sort of the design clever or clever design period, where everything was really minimalist, less detail, same body tooling for railroad and main range, just slightly different decorations. That one didn't have all the mod cons that this one has. So instead of discussing it and saying what's different, let's go into more detail on this particular model, which is priced around about £254.49. That's RRP. You may find it a little bit lower in the shops, depending which shop you go to, and it's always good to support your model shop, so try not to buy off Hornby directly, that is. So let's dive straight into it and have a look at this model. So first off, I just want to say thank you to Derails for delivering this model, and I placed an order with them back in 2021 in January when they were first announced, these P2s. This P2 I went for because it's one currently being built, as mentioned before in the intro. So instead of going around the houses, let's get straight on into it. So starting with the front end of this model. So we have the impressive front end here, which is nicely designed, plenty of detail, lots of little hatches down the side, nicely printed nameplate here. There is apparently an etched plate in the detailing bag, but I will argue the point that is not an etch, that is just a piece of brass with some tampo printing over the top of it to make it look etched, but it isn't. Etched plates are available from Fox Transfers. So continuing on with the front, we have some really nice painted lining around the buffer beam, sprung buffers, turned metal ones as well. We don't have a coupling hook, I believe it's in the detailing bag somewhere. We also have a vacuum pipe or steam pipe here. Moving back, we have a lovely smoke box door dart separately fitted, some handrail, a lamp bracket, as well as the lamp brackets along the front as well, a nice whistle, and the keel chimney on the top. This model really does show off the front end of the P2 very nicely. Some nice lining around the edging, some really nice handrails as well, and various lubrication pots along the side. Now it's worth mentioning on these models, the front end, this section here, is separate. So that is to swap over the front body shells to do, say, the Bugatti nose or the A4 front end variant of this model. So you do have to keep an eye on when you buy your model. It lines up quite nicely around this area here. You can sort of see there's a small gap between the front and the main running plate. The main running plate is die cast, so it gives it a little bit of extra weight. We also have the front pony truck here with the NEM pocket, so standard these days, and that fixes with a screw at the back. We have the main 4 driving wheels and the dangly pony truck. Moving on down the side of the model, we also have some nicely lined cylinders, silver painted front cover cap. We have the plastic and metal wheel arrangement, which they normally use these days, but we got some really nice lining around the outside and on the inside of the actual boss of the wheel, as do we have on the front as well. Nice lining as well on the cylinder. All of this is metal, the connecting rods down the side. Then we've got the valve gear to the Lentz valve gear, I think that's how you say it, which is similar to the sort of Duke of Gloucester one, but slightly different. So this is all nicely molded in plastic, as you kind of expect these days. Moving along, as I mentioned before, the running plate is all metal, which goes from about this point here, where the join is on the model, just here, all the way down to the back end. All the lining is nicely applied around the boiler. Got some nice rivet detail on the top. We also have the reverser, which I believe is this rod here, standing box, and various other, I imagine, lubricators and bits and pieces along here. Boiler washout plugs. Back to the cab, really nice lining detail around the cab front and window. Nicely printed numbers, 2007. The builder's plate, which I imagine will be Doncaster, and flush glazing throughout the cab. Okay, moving round the cab, round to the back, we have some nice features and some nice painted features here. So we actually have a actual full plate here between the cab and the tender here. We also have some really nicely detailed painting on the cab pipes, the dials. Not too much white on the water gauges here, but we got some nice printed detail on the actual glasses, on the actual readouts on the cab. Smoke box doors and cab seats as well. I also believe this one has a firebox flicker in there as well. You can't really see it on there, it's a bit dark. As you can see, all the flush glazing, nicely separately fitted handrails. And also, while we're here, we also have this brand new tender drawbar coupling system, which is very similar to the one Dapol uses on some of their models, their locomotive models. But I also think it's probably pioneered by Rapido, possibly. I think that's the first one that I saw it on Sterling single. So this just clips into there and just pull apart, and there you have it. It does come connected in the box, so please be careful when you take it out of the box. On the back of the tender, we have various dials, some nice moulding as well around here, got nice rivets down the boxes, and then we got the coal chute from the actual tender. We've got some lovely fake coal in there if you need it, but overall this is just plain green with some printed detail on the dials and all that kind of thing. Got a nice separately fitted handbrake here, so that's nicely added in, as well as various doors on the actual side of the tender. So moving onto the cab roof, as it were. I'm on the drone, obviously. We can actually see on the cab roof here, we've got some really nice features, like opening vents on the roof. All of these open, so 2 on the top and 1 either side. Nice turned brass safety valves, nice rivet detail around the top roof as well as the rain strips down each side. Moving back onto the tender, you can see the fake coal load, nice patination along the top here, and the filler cap for the water tank. So moving on to the tender, we'll have a look at it on its own. So we've got some really nice lining around the back here and the sides. We've got some really nice lettering here in the gold, black and red shading of the LNER. Got some separately fitted handrails, steps, and also I believe possibly these lamp irons might be moulded on, not 100% sure, but they look like they possibly are. We also have the wonderful sprung buffers, which turn on a lot of people on YouTube by the sounds of it, and also the NEM pocket on the back, which is standard. This tender has some nice lining along the frames. It's also got the roller bearing axles on this as well, which is a new feature for the P2, as this one is a new build, as you know. This tender itself has equipped with tender pickups. It also has the plug for the 21-pin DCC decoder, or it's just blanked off because this is the DCC ready version. There is a sound and smoke version, which will come out at some point, which is a slightly higher guide price of near £300. So moving around to the other side of the P2, now you're probably wondering why I'm doing both sides, as it were, but there are some slightly different features on this side. Now, I'm going to cause a little bit of controversy here, but I think on the actual P2 they're building, here is the speedo cable, which goes from here on a bracket to the cab. Now, this is on the right hand side, but I think on the P2, what they're building Prince of Wales, is on the other side. I'm not 100% sure, but I did spot it in a video recently where it's got the additional attachment from the crank pin up here. Now this isn't attached to anything like the old Bullieds were, for example, so taking the body shell off should be quite straightforward, but always be careful. But I think this might be an error, and I think this should be on the other side. Not 100% sure, so don't quote me on that, but I do think, looking at footage recently of P2 of the P2 and Hornby's visit to it, that is on the wrong side. Anyway, we'll find out at some point. Moving along, got some nice steps, lining as always, and moving along the running plates. We come to the front end again, more rivet detail, nice lining. We also have what I think is a steam turbo generator, possibly for the electricals or something along those lines. Slightly different to the original tooling of the P2 that they've done, as they were more basing it on what they had at the time when they built this locomotive back in the day. Again, got some nice plastic moulding for the lens, valve gear, etc. Nice slide bar between there, all metal, again the connecting rods, etc. And overall, really nicely detailed model, which is certainly a step in the right direction, filled with some great features. So what comes in the box apart from this rather nice model? So in the box you obviously get your instructions, operating, maintenance, etc. Always good to run it in both ways for about half an hour or to an hour. Try not to run it on carpet because it really does kill the drive mechanism, and I keep seeing people saying it's fine, but I tell you, after some runs and the first couple of runs, even on a layout, you pick up a lot of fibres and it does need a good clean. Now I've had a lot of this recently from customers, etc. So yeah, please be careful, don't run it on carpet. Moving along here, we have the detailing pack. You can see it's got quite a lot of detail in there. We have the brake rigging for the underneath. We've got a driver, a fireman. We have the drain cocks in there. The rear trailing axles, the ones which do have flanges on. We have the steps. We do have a coupling hook in there as well. And also we have the controversial etched nameplates. Now these are not etched at all. These are just pieces of brass which have been tampo printed. Now it does look like brass, obviously it is brass, but it is not etched at all. This is just a piece of plate with some printing on it. Sorry Hornby, but you can't get past me on that one. If you want some proper etches where it has actually got relief around the letters, and the letters all up above the background, I suggest you go and have a look at Fox Transfers, because I think they do some for about 12 to 13 quid. So you join me on the rolling road. Unfortunately no layout, as I've mentioned before, so this will have to do. Now this model has not been run. It's been checked over, made sure it's been in one piece, nothing's been falling off or whatever. So overall, just to bring it up to speed, this model is pretty heavy and is driven by the third drive wheel back from the front. I believe it has bearings on the drive axles. I know the original one doesn't have that facility, but overall it should help with smoother running. There's a lot of controversy over that one originally, wearing out chassis, etc, etc, but you do have to look after them slightly differently. So without further ado, let's give it a run. This model So to summarise this model from Hornby, this latest full detailed model, it's a good model. It captures what is being built quite well, although there is a question mark over some areas, like the speedo cable being on the wrong side, possibly. It's a good weight, nicely detailed, really nice livery, nice application of that livery. Good high detail in most areas, all areas. I can confirm also that there are bearings on the actual driving wheels, which is fantastic. As I say, it's 21 pin DCC chip, and overall it's a nice model. Price is the price. If you don't like it, don't buy it. At the end of the day, the price will come down if there are any left in about 6 to 8 weeks. I thought I'd line this model up with the other A1 truss locomotive, which is Tornado. You can see I have also added on some of the details around the front, the steps, the drain cocks, and the 3 screw link chain on the front. There are some additional guard irons which fit just behind those steps on the actual chassis itself. I've left off the nameplates because I just don't like them, and the crew, which I'll probably put in at a later date. So also to summarise what's available, or what will be available, it's basically this one, which is the Prince of Wales, R3983. That's around about 254.49. These are all RRP. You've also got Lord President, which is the A4 shape, or Bugatti nose shape. That's 254 as well. You've also got the early as-built number 2002 Earl Mashal or whatever it's called. I can't quite pronounce it. Now there is a little bit of debate on that one because there is a CAD of double smoke deflectors. Now from what I'm told, that is a later batch coming, so don't panic, it is coming and it is being made. The other one available is the Thane of Fife number 2005, and that is a Hornby Collectors Club edition only, and that is also an A4 shape. So that's about £200 I think from what I've seen. There is another Prince of Wales available, this one with SS after the title, so it's R3983SS, and that comes with a steam generator and I imagine sound as well. So I hope you enjoyed this review. I tried to keep it as short as possible and to the point as possible. I'm sure this locomotive will run very well with some Grizzlies and some other bits and pieces behind it. I'm sure it will be a very, very strong runner, as well as a very strong in terms of performance and pulling power. But I hope you've enjoyed this review. Try and keep it neat and tidy and short. Hope that helps you decide. I know there's quite a few other P2 videos out there of varying degrees of interest, but I hope you enjoyed it. hope you go and buy one of these. Nice model, and I hope you enjoy running one of these on your model layout at home. For now, see you in the next one.